I wanted to make this video because there are so many people suffering with anxiety or dealing with anxiety in silence. And even though I struggle with it and I deal with it, I still have a sense of responsibility to let people know that they aren't alone and let people know that they have power.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Isn't she precious? Too much on my mind.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Alicia Simone, otherwise known as Sammy. Today I am going to be talking about something that is not necessarily easy to talk about or something that I normally am super comfortable with talking about, and that is dealing with anxiety. Many of us deal with this thing that feels like a monster sometimes, but we're expected to just be strong, push through it, and not really complain or seek help, which can be said about Black men too, but for some reason my heart is just pulling more towards Black women right now because I am a Black woman that struggles or deals with anxiety. So I hope this video isn't all over the place. I hope that the things that I say and the things that I share with you guys make sense. And I want to say that I am not a medical professional. I am not a counselor or a psychologist, nowhere close to being any of those things, but I'm just a person that experiences anxiety. And I guess that's where I want to start off is I stopped saying that I have anxiety because it felt like I was taking ownership of it, like it was mine. And I don't want to think of it that way. It's not mine to have. It's something that I deal with. It's something that I'm experiencing, something that I will overcome, something that I will get better with throughout time, just as I have in the past, because it used to be a lot worse than it is now. So yeah, that would be the first thing that I would say to anyone dealing with this is it's not yours. You don't have to take it in as yours if you don't want to. If that's not something that feels right to you, you don't have to say, I have anxiety. You can say, I deal with it, or I'm experiencing it. Because I do believe that there is power in the words that we speak and the things that we say. And yeah, I don't want to have anxiety, but I understand that it is something that I'm learning to deal with right now. So that's the reality. So the reason I'm doing this video is because when I first started YouTube, well, one, it took me a really long time to start YouTube. And honestly, if it wasn't for God placing the right person into my life at the right time, I probably still would not have started YouTube just based off of, normal nerves about it, because one thing is everybody experiences anxiety on different levels. Anxiety, having, or being nervous about things are absolutely normal. That is what we do as humans. That's what we do as humans. We worry, we stress about things. Some stress is good, you know, but the difference between regular anxiety and actually having an anxiety disorder is when it's excessive and when it's continual and when it's something that you deal with on a normal basis and something that affects your day-to-day life. So, like I was saying, some of my thoughts about starting a YouTube channel were, if I was gonna do this, I wanted it to be genuine. I wanted it to be authentic. I wanted it to be me. And I wanted for some little Black girl out there to be able to click on one of my videos and see somebody that looks like her, that quite possibly is experiencing or has experienced the same things as she has, or that she will, that she doesn't quite understand, and that she just needs to hear from someone who looks like her, someone who has experienced similar things to her. So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the whole purpose of this YouTube channel. Even the lighthearted, funny videos, the videos with, you know, doing stuff with my hair, like, it's all for that purpose. Okay. Let's start with what is anxiety. I got this definition from the internet, of course, but it says, the term anxiety disorder refers to specific psychiatric disorders that involve extreme fear or worry. It includes generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and panic attacks, agoraphobia, social anxiety disorder, selective mutism, separation anxiety, and specific phobias. And like I said before, normal anxiety, like just worrying about, you know, work or school or just the everyday things that come with life, that's normal, you know. But if it starts to affect your day-to-day or it makes you feel like you can't do simple tasks, like, for example, I've called out of work because of feeling anxious. I've missed tons of classes just because it was just overwhelming. The feeling was just overwhelming. I physically could not push myself to go because of all the things that were going on in my mind that were translating to my body, if that makes sense. Like the physical things, like heart palpitations, headaches, sweating, feeling like I couldn't breathe or like I was gonna choke, feeling numb in my hands and my legs, not being able to stand still. Honestly, it can be really embarrassing because at the age of 23, I feel like I should be able to control those things, but in all reality, it's not that simple. And that's what I want you guys to know. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel ashamed of the things that you deal with, whether it's anxiety or something else. We all have crosses to bear. We all have our own cross to bear. We all have things that we have to, I believe we all have like a list of things that we are to experience in life. And anxiety just happens to be one of mine. Depression might be one of yours. Bipolar disorder might be somebody else's. And even beyond mental disorders, poverty could be something that someone else experiences. The loss of a mom or dad is something that someone else could experience. So just be patient with yourself. But at the same time, know that you have power to push through in a healthy way, not push through in a way of ignoring what you feel or feeling as though you have to hide it because you don't. Anxiety is one of the most common things that people experience, so you are not alone. Along with power and feeling like you have power, Alice Walker said, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. And that's what I mean by knowing your power and knowing that you have power, and not so much owning anxiety for yourself, because you have power over it. And the minute that you give your power up to anxiety is the minute that you begin to feel like you're losing. Because it's very easy to just throw your hands up and say that this is something that will control me for the rest of my life. But where the strength is you deciding that it won't. You deciding that you want to have peace in your mind, you want to have peace in your heart and in your life. There's real strength and power in that. So just own that. So, some common symptoms of anxiety disorder, no matter the kind, different symptoms for different kinds, but some of the symptoms could be feelings of panic, doom, or danger, sleeping issues like insomnia, not being able to stay calm or still, cold, sweaty, numb, or tingling hands or feet, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, dry mouth, nausea, tense muscles, dizziness, irritability, and inability to concentrate. And those are just a few. Just a few. Anxiety can manifest in so many different ways depending on the person, and like I said, depending on the exact anxiety disorder. So, according to Anxiety and Depression Association of America, data shows that for Black women, anxiety is more chronic and the symptoms are more intense than their white counterparts. And some of the reasons for that is the way that Black women are perceived in the world, not just America, but the world. Most of the time, we are put into 3 categories. The strong Black woman that can handle every and anything and can keep going despite what she experiences with little to no help. The angry Black woman that is just angry for no apparent reason. Nobody knows why she's so mad. Nobody knows why she'll just snap on you at the drop of a dime, seemingly for no reason. And then the Jezebel. And that woman is a lot of, I feel like what we see today in our culture. Not realizing that a lot of the issues dealing with sexuality in our culture, a lot of it has to do with trauma. A lot of it has to do with anxiety. A lot of it has to do with depression. And I'm all for women's liberation. I'm all for, doing what it is that feels right to you. Like, all of that is good, but if it's to ignore what it is that you're dealing with or have been through, then it's not gonna help. It's not gonna heal that hurt inside of you. It's not gonna do anything for you except numb the pain, and it's not doing anything because eventually it'll come back up. Late at night when you're laying in the bed by yourself and there's nobody around but you, you're gonna remember those things that hurt you. You're gonna remember those things that make you feel the way that you feel day to day. So I think that we should have more grace for Black women. I think that we should try to understand Black women more than we do, because the strong Black woman could deal with anxiety on a daily basis, and no one will ever know, because she doesn't have time to show those signs. She just can't. She can't show those things. She can't show that weakness because she is strong, and she knows that others look at her that way, and it would be weird if she wasn't that woman. The angry Black woman, nobody cares to understand that maybe she's snapping because she's scared all the time. Maybe she's snapping, maybe she's angry because she has so much weight on her shoulders that any little thing can set her off. But we don't think about stuff like that. Maybe that girl that has a Jezebel spirit, as people like to say, she probably was sexually abused as a child or even in her adulthood. And I'm not saying that's the case for every woman that finds freedom in her sexuality. I'm not saying that that's the case, but a lot of times we choose to judge before we look into a person's story. So, like I said, anxiety has been something that I've dealt with for a good while, a really long time, since childhood. I didn't always know what it was. I had no clue what it was, actually. I just knew as a kid that I was scared a lot of times. I was nervous about things that honestly didn't really make sense to be nervous about. I would be having chest pains at 7, which is super weird, I would faint from just feeling so overwhelmed with emotion and nerves. It was a really weird experience, honestly, and I really thought something was wrong with me. Like, why am I, experiencing all of these things as a kid? But as I grew older and I actually spoke to a medical professional that knew what they were, talking about, I realized that, I have anxiety. And it felt good to put a name to something that I had no clue about, really didn't know, how to deal with it or anything, because most of the time I would just, isolate myself until I felt better. But when I found out what it was, I could actually read up on things. I could actually seek out the help that I needed to seek. And that really felt good. So I began taking those steps in order to feel better, But And over the years, it has gotten a lot better. I've learned so many different ways to prevent myself from having a panic attack or preventing myself from getting to that point of no return. And it's gotten better, but as of recently, like I would say like the past year or so, it kind of started to come back harder than it did before, or harder than, it was harder to deal with than before. So I had to come up with an anxiety game plan and, a beating anxiety game plan. And in this game plan, it just included things that, steps that I would take in order to cope, in order to push through, in order to get better. Because I honestly believe that there are other ways to get through anxiety other than medicine, even though it does have its place and it does have its purpose, definitely, because I've taken medicine for anxiety. But for me, it's just not something that I wanted to continue. But that may not be the best decision for you, So that's definitely not me telling you not to take medicine, because if you need to, please do that, please. And if I ever feel the need that I need to again, I'm gonna have to do that, because like I said, I want to get better. And I don't want to live in denial. But as of right now, I'm trying to find other ways other than medicine to help out. So I'm gonna go through my game plan with you guys and share it just in case you might get something from it and it might be able to be a part of your game plan. So number 1 on my list is therapy. And the reason why is because I truly want to get to the root of my anxiety and understanding why I feel the things that I feel, why I have the thoughts that I have, those racing thoughts that sometimes I can't seem to control, that snowball out of my control a lot of times. I want to understand exactly where it comes from. And I have an idea, I have an idea, but I truly want to get down to the root, because I honestly think that I can't fully heal it without getting down and dirty and actually getting to the root of all of this. So speaking with like an actual professional that has studied and that actually understands what you're talking about, because I know a lot of times I have tried to explain it to others, and quite frankly, you sound a little crazy sometimes when you try to explain those things, especially if it's someone that has never experienced those things before. So you can't really be mad at a person that doesn't understand, especially if they're trying to understand. But I think the best thing is to actually go to someone that has studied, that has studied the ways to help you get through this, and knows different techniques and different things that can, help you. So I'll be starting therapy in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I am anxious about it. But this is one of those times where I need to push through that anxiety, because I'm pushing through towards something that will help me. So this is the right time to push through. Next on my list is yoga and exercise. And for me, it's yoga. For you, it might be weightlifting, might be cardio, running, but I don't run nowhere, so that's not gonna work for me. But I have found that yoga helps to calm my mind, calm my body whenever I feel like I'm getting out of control of those things. Yoga and stretching and certain exercises definitely help. And the science behind it is that physical activity actually raises endorphins and serotonin levels. So yeah, everybody knows that those are the chemicals that help you to feel good, to, feel like your best self. So getting your body moving, I think, will really help. So next on my list is no more caffeine. I am a ex-coffee fiend. Like, I would have to have coffee just about every morning. I wouldn't say every morning, I wasn't that bad, but just about every morning to just kind of get my day started and get me going and moving, especially with like early classes and stuff. But I wasn't realizing that coffee and excess caffeine through like chocolate and things like that were actually messing with my nervous system. It gives it like a jolt. And if you know anything about anxiety, it's that like, that's what it feels like. It feels like a jolt to your nervous system, and you just feel like you're just out of control. So I didn't realize that that was really assisting in, those nervous or anxious feelings. So I cut out caffeine for the most part. I haven't drunk coffee in like maybe almost 2 months, honestly. So that's definitely a achievement for myself. I didn't realize it was that long just thinking about it, but it's definitely an achievement. But yeah, caffeine can definitely have effects on anxiety. So maybe substituting for something like tea, because I do love the feeling of a warm drink. So something like tea or anything like hot, well, I would say hot chocolate, but hot chocolate has caffeine in it. So, but yeah, whatever is best for you. Even water, because yeah, we definitely need water. Next on my list is having a bedtime and a bedtime routine, because sleep deprivation makes you super susceptible to anxious feelings. 8 hours of sleep is super important, especially for someone that deals with a mental disorder like anxiety. It's super important that you get the rest that your body requires. And so I'm doing my best to take steps to get that certain amount of sleep that I know I need. I know that I can't necessarily, be a night owl how I would kind of normally be and then get up at 7 in the morning. That's not gonna work. That's not sustainable. If I'm trying to get better, I have to take the steps to help myself. So I'm not perfect in that yet, but definitely being more mindful of how much sleep I get. And a bedtime routine, because sometimes it can be hard for someone dealing with anxiety to wind down at night, like calm your mind in order to get that rest, in order to fall asleep. I know that I have a lot of nights where I'll be tired physically, but then my mind is like, I start thinking about all kinds of stuff, like just weird stuff that really doesn't make any sense to be worried about. But and it'll keep me up all night, and I get frustrated because physically, like I said, I am tired. But my mind is like, nah, you finna stay up and think about all of this stuff. I was gonna say crazy stuff, but I think all of it kind of has a rhyme or a reason, or some kind of purpose. You just have to get to the root of that reason that you're thinking about whatever you're thinking about. But yeah, I think that having a bedtime routine would be very helpful. Like things like, taking a hot shower, reading a book, drinking some hot tea or some hot milk before, you get into bed. being off of your phone an hour before you plan on going to sleep. And yeah, I think that those things will be helpful, and those are things that I'm wanting to start doing in my life. The next one is a big one. Saying no. That is particularly scary for me because I am a person that loves to do for others, and that's not something that I want to change. You know, I'm not saying this as if it's a bad thing to do for others and to be kind and to just, you know, share the love. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when it comes at the expense of your mental health and the things that you have to deal with personally, and honestly, a lot of times things that you have to deal with on your own, you have to be your own best friend. You have to be your own accountability partner. A lot of times, like, you know you're not feeling your best today. You probably shouldn't take on 2 or 3 other people's, you know, their stuff. You probably shouldn't take that on right now, because with what you have and then what they have, one, it's gonna overwhelm you and make you feel even worse than you already do. And 2, you're not gonna be able to help them to the full extent that you would like to, because you're not able to give them your best self. Not because you don't want to, but you're physically and mentally not able to give it to them. I know we've all heard the saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. I think that's how it goes. But yeah, but that's absolutely right. Like, if you don't have anything, if you're fighting your mind on the inside and nobody can see that, like, that's an internal battle that only you are dealing with. And then you take on everybody else's stuff, you know, and a lot of times people don't even mean to overwhelm you, because they don't know. But being honest about how you feel with the people that you care about, the people that care about you and that love you and understand you, like, it's okay to tell someone, I'm not feeling the best today. Can I maybe help you at another time? Or honestly, sometimes you just have to give a flat out no, like, I can't do it. And even that coming out of my mouth is super uncomfortable, because I instantly start having thoughts of like, oh my God, this person is gonna be mad at me. Even to the point, like, they might not even want to talk to me ever again. And that's super irrational. It's an irrational thought, especially, like I said, if it's somebody that loves and care about you. But that's the type of things that you think about when you're dealing with anxiety. It's like the worst possible thing that can happen. This person is not going to want to mess with me no more. They're not going to ask me anything else. They're not going to want my help. I'm not going to be able to ask them for help when I need it. Like, it's a snowball effect. So just getting comfortable talking to the people that you care about what it is that you're dealing with, and just letting them know, like, I can't today, or I just can't at all. The people that truly love you and care about you, they will understand. And it's not that you're not dependable. It's not that people can't count on you. It's just that you're dealing with something just like everybody else has to deal with something. And every day is not going to be roses. Every day you're not going to be on 10. And anybody with common sense will understand. Anybody that is not selfish and just thinking about themselves, they will understand. So if you don't have those people around you, if you don't feel like the people around you would understand, or that they would be mad at you for that, you probably need to check your circle. You need to check who you're trusting. You need to check who you're doing life with, because it's probably not the right group of people if you get nerves about them just cutting you off because you're not your best that day or for a few days. It's been a couple of weeks that I have had where I just kind of isolate from the world. And while that's not the best thing, thank God that I've had people in my life that understand. They understand that I wasn't being funny, I wasn't acting funny, I wasn't being fake. I was just going through something at the time. So yeah, check your group of friends. check your family, the people that you trust, you know, because that's what family and friends is all about, helping each other through life, even when it gets hard, especially when it gets hard. But yeah, I just wanted to come and share my experience, some of my experience. I just wanted to let anyone that may be watching this know that you are not by yourself. You're not crazy. Nothing's necessarily wrong with you. It's literally a chemical imbalance. I mean, you worry. It's okay. We can figure it out. Everything is figure outable. You just have to do the work. And that's the main thing, doing the work and taking your power back, because anxiety can make you feel like you don't have power. So take your power back and do the work that you need to do in order to help yourself, because nobody else will be able to do it for you. Whether you go to therapy, whether you seek out those friends and family that do understand, they can't do it for you. So you have to do the hard part. And honestly, this is a part of doing the hard work. This is what it looks like for me. Not for everybody, but this is what it looks like for me.